Hi, I'm Buzz, and thank you for joining us on our 51st episode. And I'm here today with our great guest host, Julie. It's always great to see you. I'm glad you're here. You missed last week.
I did. I was in Nashville for my birthday.
I know.
Yes.
And did you have a great birthday?
A great birthday. Amazing.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Glad to be
and we also have the man, the myth,
the legend.
Justin Ingolia. Justin, I'm glad you're here today.
Buzz, I'm glad to be here. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Who do we have for a guest? You've known this guy for a long time. You guys have had a lot of really good conversations. So I'm going to let you introduce him.
Absolutely. We have a returning guest from our 41st episode. So we had 10 episodes in between.
Yep.
This is Ricky O'Neill. This is my friend, my man, and certified coach with exactly what to say. I have a really cool bio that I wrote out, and I'm going to read it because it's good, and I'm proud of it.
Okay. You didn't use AI, did you?
No, of course not. No, never. Of course I just cleared it out. Oh man.
Did you?
I did. I really did. I'm dragging this on. I hit it and it scrolled to the top of everything.
They can just edit this in post.
Jocelyn loves to edit. No, anyway, we have Ricky. Ricky is an unbelievable leader. He's a co-founder of the More Real Estate Group, which is one of the top Northern California real estate teams.
Yeah.
With Shelby Rayburn and Brian Martell. Those are the three amigos. Founders, right? The three amigos.
That's us.
And Ricky has become a certified coach with exactly what to say. And when we had you on previously for the 41st episode, we had I had seen you speak, and it was an incredible at least introduction into what exactly what to say is. And so with our transition into our new podcast here, which we'll talk about very quickly. We wanted to have you back on because key conversations and important conversations that matter at moments that matter is so important for not only podcast hosts but business leaders, lenders, real estate agents, anyone who wants to have conversations that matter. So I don't think we could have had a better guest.
We're glad you're here.
Julie, Buzz, and thank you for the warm welcome. And things look a little different in here, Buzz. I'm not sure what's going on. Did something change?
Well, thank you for noticing.
Yes.
Behind me, you're seeing the new name. We'd been using the Blitz Break for the first 50 episodes, and that was a play on words, kind of bringing in some sports comments, that type of stuff. But really what it was is a process that we had envisioned that really never came together. And we felt that when Julie and I and Justin and some of the other guests, we just felt like, the Blitz Break doesn't really describe exactly what we wanted to convey. And we really sat down and struggled with this, and we came up with this new name, the Key Hour. Of course, we like to sit down for about an hour with our guests, but what we kept coming back to was questions like, well, what is the key to your success? What is the key to, you getting more business? And certainly today, I think that we're going to have a really great opportunity to talk to you about what are the key points on your coaching process of knowing exactly what to say. So I think that this is a great segue, and we hope that you guys will take notice that the change, the logo, everything, we're not changing really what we're doing. We're just doing a better job of describing it. So,
and one of the key components of what we had talked about doing was people always want practical application, right? So we've always, and Julie and I, we've always had the conversation of how are we impacting people on a daily basis and when people that we come in contact with. And so if we're going to have a sit down conversation for an hour, how are we leaving and recording the impact where someone's walking away going, gosh, man, I really learned something today, or I actually took something away. Instead of going through successful people's resumes, we're actually sitting down with them and saying, hey, Ricky, tell us like what made conversation so important to you? What drew you to exactly what to say? And then hearing where people can identify with that story. So maybe that's a good start. What drew you to that?
Well, first of all, I love the name, The Key Hour.
Well, thank you.
And the key to success is always an interesting question. Whenever anyone asks me, what's your key to success? And Justin's laughing probably because he knows what I'm about to say. It's like,
good though.
Is like the key to success is different for you, you, and you, and you. So first I'd say in order to answer that, I'd have to ask you what your definition of success is.
Exactly.
Because I think my definition of success is way different than anyone else's. So in order for it to be helpful to the whole entire world, what kind of success are we looking at? Like what kind of measure is it? Is it business success, life success? Is it some people's success is just straight up fulfillment? And the absence of fulfillment will always guarantee the absence of happiness. So a lot of people, that's just the success measure itself.
And you're talking about fulfillment internally with your own self,
Yes,
right?
Of course.
So, and I believe in what you just said, because some people success is all about, excuse me, is their career or money goals. Or, I'll feel successful when I have X. But then you ask other people and it's like, I feel successful because I have an amazing family. I have kids that I adore. I have a wife, a partner that, that's amazing. And that's their view of success, regardless of everything else. And, trust me, I think that's one of the biggest things. There's other people that I feel successful because I'm healthy and, or whatever the case is. So you're exactly right. What is the definition?
Well, I think that the definition for most people, if you really want to have success in your business, you really need to start with having success in like your personal life and like identifying what that is. And a great exercise is just starting with your core values to kind of understand, what you should say yes to and what you should say no to. A mentor of mine once said that there should be 1,000 no's before you say one yes.
Wow.
The first time I was on this show, I think it was like, we've had this book for like 2 months, I think. And then the one prior to that was booked for like 3 months. So it's like, you can't always say yes. And I think one of the keys to success, I think that you see a lot of people in life and across all industries, real estate CEOs, is they're the best usually are really good at saying no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
I like that.
Remember that next time
No,
you
I
ask
like
for
it.
something.
Because there's always those, you have that feeling of trepidation sometime of like, I want to do it, but it's not really aligning with what my core values are, but it's a good opportunity and you're doing that. And I like that. If it's not a hell yeah, then it's a no.
Well, if you're always accessible, then you're not very valuable.
It's true.
Good point.
So if you look at like a surgeon, if you're like, hey, I need knee surgery, and he's like, well, I have an opening this afternoon, you're like, wait a second.
That's a good
let's
example.
roll in there right now.
Right,
Let's get this baby taken care of.
Yeah. Or like if you're like,
You got
I
about
need-
an hour?
I need a great attorney, and you're like, I can't meet you for 3 weeks. And you're like, that sounds good. But he's like, I got some time this afternoon. And you're like, don't you have other like really important
Pressing.
clients?
Yeah.
And so it's not that we don't want to like follow up and return clients' phone calls and meet and say yes to, but what are you saying yes to, and what are you saying no to, and what are you saying yes to is in line with your values. And there's a tons of value exercises that you can do, but I think that's a really great start. It's just kind of, what are your core values, so that you have a really clear idea on what to say yes to and what to say no to.
I think that's funny too, because that's kind of been a practice that I'm just exploring. I'm just just having that feeling inside. It wasn't anything that triggered it and you're just confirming it, but it's this idea of writing down, not core values for me necessarily, because I have those mapped out very well, but more like what are my personal like cornerstones for me, things that have either shaped me, shaped my decisions, but also like writing them out and being able to say like, this is why I am and I believe what I believe, or this is why this matters to me. So I have, the what it is, why it is, and going forward, is it going to remain kind of thing.
Well, the why is this big kind of buzzword, and I'll be with Mr. Y himself next week, Simon Sinek. But one of the things with the why is big why is critical and important, And I think that, I said this maybe once before somewhere, is that what if we removed our big why for a second and we just focused on like doing the work?
Yeah.
And because when you learn to perform without purpose, then like your why will like eventually slap you in the face, right? But if we totally just preach about the big why, find your big why, I think that also can make people feel a little bit intimidated, maybe handicap people from wanting to go and actually do the work, because they're like, gosh, Justin knows his why, Julie knows his why, Buzz knows his why, I don't know my why, so therefore I'm not going to start doing anything.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold off until I figure this out. You mentioned core values, and I always like to really dig in. So I'm gonna ask you, give us an example so that someone out there, because when you say, if you're coaching me and you say, Buzz, we need to determine what your core values are, and I'm going to go, give me an example, because I'm not quite clear what you're asking me.
Gotcha.
What would be an example of, let's say, one of your core values?
Well, that's thank you for asking. My core values is freedom, impact, and family. Freedom, impact, and family. So if I say yes to something, it has to be able to actually touch one of those things. So how is it impacting my family? Am I gone? Am I there? Is it helping them? Right? Am I impacting someone else positively in what I'm doing? And then freedom, is what I'm doing giving me freedom to do what I actually want to do? And so I always say that, I'm probably one of the most disciplined people I know. My first 90 minutes of the day is super lockdown. It's hard to get a hold of me. I'm basically doing what I need to do so that I can have the freedom to do what I want to do the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And so when you understand freedom as a core value, you no longer let other people's priorities become yours. You protect your time like it's like the greatest asset of your life, which it is, by the way.
Which it is. Yeah.
So right. The older you get, the more you feel it.
Yes, you do.
It's and we can touch on that later. So again, I'm going to ask you, because a lot of people say, I have the miracle morning routine. I do this, I do that. You say this first 90 minutes of the day, you're locked down. What are the things that you're doing at that point? Are you like a lot of the miracle morning? I'm doing devotional. I'm doing, what does yours look like? Is it like, hey, the first 90 minutes, I'm in my emails, I'm getting everything done?
Nope.
Or
if you go to your emails, you're immediately distracting. You're making other people's priority your own.
Okay.
So you need to really think about the first 90 minutes in my office, right? So if I get to the office at 8:20, right, then I'm on lockdown until just after 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Because there's a huddle that I have to go to. And so you get there and you're on lockdown until 10:15. During that time, you're growing your business. You're not maintaining it, you're actually growing it. So I always, there's a couple books and thoughts process that says in the AM, in the morning, you should be a maker of new business. And in the afternoon, you should be a manager of the current business. So if you try to swap it, then if you're going to try to manage your current business in the morning with emails and phone calls and those, you're going to get distracted where you'll never be able to make up the time to actually make new business. So in the morning should be all money making activities. So the first 90 minutes of your day or 2 hours of your day probably shouldn't be like responding to emails. It probably should be like follow up, lead generation. If you're in real estate, right? Lead generation, lead follow up, maybe some thinking time, some slight skill development, perhaps maybe a devotional, but that should probably maybe be done before you get into the work mode. So when I said 90 minutes of my day, I'm really meaning 90 minutes of my work day.
The work day.
Yeah.
So because I was just sitting here thinking, and I know you guys do the same thing. I roll over, and it may be this morning. I rolled over at about 5:15, and I'm thinking, and so I pick up my phone. And I start eliminating some emails that, the spam that comes over, the ads, and I'm kind of prioritizing, and there's thoughts in my head. I'll send those out. So I'm probably doing the exact worst thing, especially when you talked about, and I don't know why it's on my mind right now, but the miracle morning, because you were talking about this. So that's separate from this 90 minutes. You're talking about you get to work, this is locked down. This is devoted to building my business. This is,
Yeah.
that
More or
kind of
less.
stuff.
That's correct.
So the morning before
Mhm.
is something totally opposite. And you're still saying that you're not logging in and doing emails and that kind of stuff.
Mm-mm.
That's
One of the things is that you're not alone in the waking up every morning and scrolling and the emails, and you might have your day plan that you want to do that day. But if you check an email and it's not a really great email, then that's
Yeah.
going to totally throw off your whole entire day.
absolutely.
Now we know that emergencies happen, like clients bugging you, whatever, something happens that you need to respond to. But if we really are 80% good at keeping that 90 minutes in the morning, you'll find that you're about 175% more productive during the day.
Mhm.
And a lot of that starts with preparation. So like before you leave the office the next night, or maybe the night before, you spend 15 minutes to prepare for the next day so that you know what you're doing when you get into the office for the first 90 minutes. That's super critical.
Yeah.
They say that if you don't know what you're going to do that morning when you go into the office and you twiddle your thumbs and go get coffee and talk to the workmates and do some water cooler and heat up some coffee, and you waste about 700% of the possibilities that you would be if you went and just got super critically focused right when you walk in. That's
I
a lot of
believe
time.
that. I want to back up a little bit and kind of talk about how you transitioned from real estate to exactly what to say and how did that happen?
Like the overall story, or like
Yeah.
daily like management of my time?
Story.
I think the overall story of
Yeah.
how you were, with the Moore Group and
Yeah.
real estate, and then you transitioned to this new venture.
Well, thank you for asking. It was kind of an interesting story. I had the book, and I had the book on my bookshelf that I got at a mastermind group in Scottsdale that I'm part of and still part of this day in like probably 2018.
Mm.
And you get a lot of books, as we all know. You go to a lot of conferences, you go to a lot of classes, you get books all the time.
All the time.
And we have books, and I have a large library of books, in which I've read a lot of them, but not all of them yet. And this book just ended up on my bookshelf. Fast forward to about 2023. I'm at a conference, and Phil M. Jones rolls out, and he's just talking about these simplification ideas of conversational excellence. And someone like me, who's more or less an introvert, and someone who's sometimes used to struggle in staying curious or really understanding what people's motives were. I just used my own instincts, and it wasn't scalable, and you could never teach it. And if I were to say, Julie, how do you do it? How do you connect everyone? Can you teach it? You probably say, I don't know if I could teach it. That's just who I am, right? So we all have our own instincts, but it wasn't like scalable, and I couldn't like think about how do I get better at this. So Phil M. Jones really created this concept, exactly what to say, that simplifies conversational excellence through a series of like magic words and phrases that are in the book. And so he's on stage for an hour, and I'm like, holy cow, this is really like speaking my language. And so I followed up with him immediately afterward. On Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And he invited me out to one of his masterminds in New York City. And in that room, I was there with like 12 other like business CEOs, and I was totally in a room that I didn't feel I belong in, which is, by the way, my addiction, is like being in rooms that I don't feel like I should belong in. But you understand, when you're clawing your way into that room, those people in that room are clawing their way out of that room into the next room.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you always have to like if you're hungry for growth, then you should always be trying to claw into like the next room. And so I clawed my way into this room, and during that process, we had really great dialogue. And he invited me. He said, "Hey, would you ever be interested in becoming an Exactly What to Say certified guide?" So what's that? He says, "Well, a lot of people teach this stuff illegally, and they don't really do it justice. But we have a group of people who are actually certified guides who are certified to teach this and kind of, help spread the cornerstones and the conversational excellence and the magic words across all businesses, not just real estate, all businesses." And so I said, I think I'd love that. And so for like the past 18 months, that's what I've been doing. And it's been a really, really exciting ride, and met a lot of really great people who are way smarter than anyone I've ever been around with before. And it's been great for a variety of reasons. But one of the reasons it's been great is because I've been able to use it and to help the people closest to me in my world. And that's those on my real estate team, or maybe industry leaders who I'm around quite a bit, or maybe other business leaders who I'm in other kind of groups with. And it's been really great where you never go into, one of the things about impact is you never go in trying to impress people with what you know or what you're trying to do. But if you can empower them with maybe some visibility that they see what you're doing because you're great at it, Julie, so you can naturally empower people, then I think that's really where the impact will stick, is if through a natural empowering people to understand that if I could do it, then anyone could do it.
Yeah, because impact can be positive and negative, right? You can impact someone's life.
Well,
real
frankly,
negatively.
Justin, every single piece of communication that you have is either positively impacting someone or negatively impacting someone.
Yeah.
I do think your timing is perfect too, with AI and the limited communication that we get with people, and then you coming in with this. Like, if I'm only getting in front of you for 5 minutes, I better know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And your book is, I mean, exactly what to say, and the concepts are so powerful.
Well, AI is super interesting because we have like implementation of AI, which is, I think, critical. And realistically, if people are listen, this sounds harsh. We talked about being harsh earlier today, but it's not harsh. It's just thinking differently.
Yeah.
If you're worried that AI is going to steal your job, then it's probably going to steal your job. But if you learn how to implement it to make your job like way more seamless, and that you can add extra layer of critical consumer experience to the people in front of you, then you probably will have a job for life.
You know, that comes back as a theme. We've said it over and over and over with other guests. You know, the exact statement, you know, changes each time, but it's AI isn't going to take people's job. It's going to eliminate the people that don't embrace it and utilize it to their benefit.
Probably. I don't see a crystal ball in the new studio, but that's what we're guessing.
Yeah.
Right?
We ordered it.
I do see some crystal over there, so maybe that used to be a crystal
That's
ball.
right.
I don't know.
It got flattened.
You got flattened.
It got flattened.
But the idea is how could you implement these tools? Claude, for example, is a really great tool that has several layers that you can implement to enhance the consumer experience,
right,
and enhance your time so that you can take on more business, but while maintaining that consumer experience. And so with AI, when it comes to the traditional searches, like who's the best title rep, who's the best mortgage lender, who's the best real estate agent, the goal with conversations is that in conversations is no longer a soft skill. It's an absolute must skill, because our job as business owners is be in front of our people and have the right conversations to build the right opportunities and the right relationships, so that you could, you know, be able to create action with those opportunities, so that the people in front of you will never have to go to ChatGPT and say, who's the greatest real estate agent in the Sacramento area?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you know what? Or who's the greatest mortgage lender in Sacramento? You know what? I met with Justin. That's the guy I need to talk to. That's the goal. And it's across the board in all businesses.
And I think the impact that you have on people's lives and empowering them to, by the conversations that we have, the quality of conversations that we have, I tell my kids all the time, people, it doesn't really necessarily matter what you say. People remember how you make them feel.
Absolutely.
And so one of the core concepts, and I don't want to get into necessarily like having you teach exactly what to say in this setting, but one of the core concepts is leading with curiosity. And I think that's such a beautiful way to explore and begin a conversation, because it takes us out of it. And those I identify as a introvert as well. I go into settings and social settings and I'm all big and loud and I look like I'm having a great time and laughing and trying to make people laugh. But it doesn't mean I'm not in my element, doesn't mean I'm not enjoying that. It just means that my energy is being depleted from doing something like that. So having a conversation, being able to lead with curiosity and learning about other people instead of just being the loud, big guy who's trying to make everybody laugh, is a much more impactful and empowering way to start a conversation, a relationship with someone, especially in a business setting.
Yeah, curiosity is funny, right? It's we tend to in sales have these sales pitches, or these scripts that these one-liner, objection handlers that we want to come back to. And when we have that, it ends with a period. And so you basically take the ball out of play when you come back with this pitch, or you don't want to slam dunk the ball. You want to keep the ball in play.
Yeah.
And you can only do that by curiosity. And the interesting thing about curiosity is that rapport is built from the past. So if you want to earn trust with someone in this short amount of time, the 5 minutes that you might have, it all starts with curiosity. Rapport is built from the past, and trust is built from the past. So if you want to build trust quicker, you need to up your curiosity game.
When does, in a sales cycle, is this part of what you do? Taking, if I'm curious, if I'm curious about something and I'm asking questions, when does it then turn into the need to get a commitment or something like that? How do you know those key triggers?
I really appreciate you asking that question, because most people they want to go right to the ask.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So they skip over all the necessary steps that earn the trust, and they go right to the ask, right? The action. And so if we're looking at something called the curiosity triangle, and there's opportunities in this workbook right here. There's actually a whole entire, a playbook and a concept around this idea of the curiosity triangle. And the curiosity triangle essentially, and maybe I've talked about this before, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but if you take the triangle and maybe the side on the left, and maybe you write the word curiosity there, and you got to maintain curiosity long enough to build certainty in the person you're speaking with. Because if you come in with too much certainty and not curiosity, you immediately build uncertainty in the person you're talking to. Mm-hmm. So once you've stayed curious long enough, where the person that you're talking to is certain that what you're saying is now starting to form a relationship, you can move to the next layer of the triangle, and that's the empathy side. And the empathy side is the critical part, the feeling side, right? So you create the empathy side where it's no longer me versus you, it's we versus it. And when they know that it's we versus it problem, that creates relatability. And relatability means we're on the same team. We're on the same side. He understands my problem. And when the quicker you can get to a situation where you know that someone understands your problem, that that I understand your problem, you're going to trust me with a solution. If you don't think that I understand your problem through empathy, then you won't trust me with a solution. But now that we've got to the empathy side,
right,
we're relatable, you now believe that I know how to handle your problem. You trust me with a solution. That goes into the courage part. And the courage part is where you need to ask for the business or take action. Most business salespeople, they just skip all of the things and they go right to the, who do you know who wants to buy or sell real estate?
Yeah, the show up and throw up.
Yeah. And you never start with the ask. You got to earn it. Mm-hmm. You got to earn it.
I was going to say, I don't see a component on the triangle with value. Sometimes I feel like if I don't give you enough value, I don't have permission to ask for your business.
I like that. That's a really good identifier.
Yeah, I never will ask you unless I'm like, I've given, I've helped you. I think, now I'm fine and I'm confident saying, hey, when can I have your next?
The ask could also be, the action could also just be a would it help if question too, right? It doesn't need to be like, who do you know? And okay, now that I trust you, sign here. Now that you trust me, sign here. Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily have to be the ask or take the action. The action is that you've earned through the conversational curiosity triangle, you now understand what kind of value to give. So therefore you can say, listen, would it help if maybe we sat down longer and went over your goals so that I can present some ideas that might be able to help you get closer and to maybe what you want in life?
So that would be your close.
That could be.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Especially if you want to lead with value, right?
Yeah. So it still comes out with curiosity. Would it help?
Would it help?
Or what if?
Yeah, because instead we go to the value that we think is important to the other people and without understanding what is valuable to them. And that's what we say, we're providing content before understanding context. And so if we don't understand someone else's context, we haven't earned the right to deliver content. We're super content driven. So we're all trained to sell stuff. We're all trained to sell product. And so if we're in the room, we worked so hard to get in front of someone, and we're in front of someone now, and all of a sudden we're there solving the wrong problem at the right time.
Yeah.
So true.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So, we've talked a little bit about doing one of your programs.
Oh, okay.
And
You want to do it right now?
Well,
I'm teasing.
right now, you got plenty of time. So we've talked a lot about putting on one of your programs. What does that usually, or what
Workshops.
Yeah, workshop.
what does that usually entail?
Yeah.
How do we get involved with that?
Well, workshop is for anyone who is in front of people, anyone who has conversations with people regularly, anyone who, whether you're a leader, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a salesperson, even attorneys and doctors will come to workshops. And those aren't the workshops aren't necessarily like real estate sales driven. Of course, if the audience is real estate, then we're going to spend the latter half of that in more of a real estate world. But most people in the workshop are there because there's some sort of gap between where they are and where they want to be, and it's usually through a conversational gap. And so they're lacking something, or they want to add something to their toolbox. We know that when someone is struggling or wants more in their business, it's usually one or all four of these things. It's either a mindset, an activity, a system, or a skill set. And so the workshop is to strictly focus on how could we up your communicational skills so that you can create greater opportunity for those around you. And in the workshop, we there's a fee to it, or some companies will do a complete invite only, where they're inviting their own people where they want to come to the workshop. And every workshop gets a couple things. First of all, they get product, right? A lot of times you when you go to a workshop, you don't leave with an actual product. Everyone here in the workshop will actually leave with a workbook, which is right here, the workbook. And the workbook has 32 magic words and phrases. We know that the exactly what to say book that you buy on Amazon has 23 magic words and phrases. The workbook has 32. Also, the workbook, which you can't buy on Amazon, you can only buy it through me or go through a certification course or a workshop, is it also includes the exercise to do the curiosity triangle, and then a deep dive into the 4 cornerstones of conversational excellence. And so in the workshop, we go through those 4 conversational excellence pieces, where we really kind of do a surface layer example and the importance of the 4 cornerstones of conversational excellence, so that when you leave, you're literally leaving and getting in the car, going to your next appointment, or even going home, or even to your kid's soccer game, recognizing something critical, that moments and conversations always have opportunity. And when you don't look for those moments to stay curious around, you start to see opportunities slipping through people's fingers, and it becomes obsessive. And literally, I did a workshop yesterday, and I've done 3 this month. And almost every single time you do a workshop, about half of the group will message you saying, "Oh my gosh, I was at the grocery store the other day, and the person in front of me was totally not curious and just basically took over the person's story." That's the one we hear the most.
Yeah.
Is where do you show up in a conversation where you take over someone else's story?
Yeah.
And it's like, "Hey, Justin, I see you were in Hawaii."
Never seen that.
Right? And then you're like, "Yeah, I was in Hawaii." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love Hawaii so much." And you just list all these things about, "I see you're in Nashville." You were in Nashville, Julie?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love Nashville so much. You go to Nashville, you go to this, you go to this, you go to this, and I do this, I do this, I do this. And you're like, "What? You took over my story."
And it's so funny because I think, at least for me, I'll say, because I've been guilty of that. I think every salesperson is guilty of it, but I've been guilty of it. But it's only because I want you to know that, like, oh, I've been there and I value it. Like you seem to value it. You're trying to make that rapport, and what you're really doing is you're separating. You're actually not building a rapport.
Well, you're trying to build a connection point.
You are, or like you're excited. I know about this.
Yeah,
I can share this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're taking over someone else's story.
Yeah, it is. It's a right way to frame it.
You mentioned rapport, and so we know that rapport is only built from the past, and you got to understand that the person asking the questions controls the conversation. So then I just basically no longer am controlling the conversation, and I'm pushing you away from me because I'm telling you all the things that's important to me. not what's important to you.
Yeah.
And we know if we're going to follow the curiosity triangle, we'll never reach empathy, which means you'll never even really care about me. And you'll just, basically you're thinking, how can I press eject from this conversation as quickly as possible?
And I love, I'm sure that you love it too, getting feedback after you do something like one of your workshops. Well, question.
Sometimes yesterday's feedback, we had a know-it-all.
Oh, there's always
in the
there's
class.
always one.
In the class.
There's always
and
one.
did they reach out to you later and tell you what you messed up?
No, you know what? Sometimes I actually appreciate that, because a lot of times what the person was saying, other people are thinking. And so sometimes. And so it creates any opportunity to really create dialogue, so that I can just kind of prove a point that I just stayed curious in what she was saying long ago, where eventually I understood what was important to her. And then when I figured out what was important to her, I let her know that. And then she was kind of taken back, because her way of doing that is just through like a feeling.
A feeling.
A feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I think I know how to read people's body language. So, well, can you teach that to me? Because I'm curious in how to read people's body language too. And they're like,
can't teach it.
well, you just know. Okay.
Speaking of workshops, you have one coming up September 3rd, right?
Oh yeah.
Well,
I heard.
I have I'm doing a talk on September 3rd. Yes.
To Bayside business leaders, right?
Yes.
And what are you going to cover in that segment?
Well, it's a surprise.
Is it a surprise? Okay.
Yes. No, we're gonna with the time that we have there at the Bayside. First of all, it's an honor to be able to speak at that event. To share the stage with so many great leaders that come through the business leaders, Bayside business leaders stage has been great. And Johnny and Bayside does a wonderful job with that. John Maxwell, I'm sure just has been there several times. So gosh, to be on the same stage that he spoke. One of the things that we're going to talk about is kind of the idea of moments, and what kind of moments in our business have we engineered, so that how are we responding to the moments that show up? How can we create engineered moments within our business? And one of the engineered moments I think is critical is do we have a system for when someone says thank you?
A system to do what with the thank you?
Thanks, Buzz, so much for helping me with my loan.
Okay.
Thank you, Buzz, so much. It was really a stressful, situation, but you really made it streamlined and helped me out. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your help.
So you're asking, do we have a system to take that comment?
Yes.
And maximize it?
Correct.
Make it an opportunity.
Because my knee-jerk reaction is, oh, absolutely. Why wouldn't I do it? Or it's
Why
my
wouldn't
pleasure.
You do it? So it's my pleasure. Why wouldn't I do it? It's my pleasure. You turning it back on you.
Me.
And so we have also of course, right? It's like, it's not a big deal. Of course, right? Or no problem. You just gave me two negatives, a no and a problem, right? So it's like, how are we responding to, thank you, Julie, so much for introducing me to everyone in the world.
Yes, you're welcome.
Right. Right. So it's like, there's an opportunity there.
It's a huge opportunity.
That's a moment in time that we might not ever get back. And in the book Unreasonable Hospitality, they talk a lot about this, where when you're at dinner and you walk into your favorite restaurant, it smells really good, and the lighting is perfect, and the mood is right, and the music is perfect, and the hostess sits you down in your favorite seat, and before you come over, they're doing the signals with the water, and your drink is there, and you order your food, and the waiter or the waitress brings your food out, and it's like perfect, and you say, you know what, Justin, I've been to this restaurant a lot, and I've never had an experience like this before. And you say, it's my pleasure, and you leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or so then what happens is you no longer get a refill, and you're still really thirsty, or they never brought an appetizer. And then at the end, he shows back up and he says, hey, thanks so much for coming. Will you leave a review down here? You're going to be like, nah, you know what? Not today. But in that moment where you said, hey, I've been here a lot, I've never experienced a feeling like I have until this time. You say, you know what? I really appreciate you saying that. Would you be open to just scanning this code real quick and just providing a quick review? It would mean a lot. And if you can just share your story, it would only take maybe 60 seconds. And by the time you're done with it, I'll already be back with a refill on your tea. You're probably going to do it right there on the spot.
Yeah.
But if you wait and they ask for the review at the end of the experience where everything else can go wrong, then you're probably not going to provide that. And so how are we capitalize? What are we doing to capitalize on the moments that we show up in our life every single day, but we're not engineering them in a way to respond to?
Man, I tell you, I'm thinking about a recent experience that I had. They probably have read the book or taken a workshop. A couple of months ago, I was in Mexico at a resort. I'd gone with American Pacific, but I'd switched over to another resort to stay a few more days. Went to that resort. It was the Secrets there in Los Cabos. And just about every single person treated us like royalty. It was almost, we kind of laughed about it. It was like, it's like, who do they think we are? But every single person, all the way up to the general manager, treated us so well. And without much response, when we would say, thank you for this. This has been incredible. Almost every one of them would say, we're so happy that you're here, and we want other people to know of your experience. So don't forget to, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Don't forget to go to this. And it was all the way down to waiters, waitresses at the restaurants, the concierge. I mean, everybody. And believe it or not, we left probably 20 nice comments about each and every person. And I even emailed the general manager directly and included, I did some research on, the corporate office for Secrets, and shot him, said, I've never had an experience like these guys, just how nice they treated us. So
it's critical.
We absolutely went above and beyond to say thank you.
The art of accepting a compliment is something that you should probably put in your toolbox starting today.
Okay.
Like literally, like
what would you suggest? What's an example?
Yeah, I was gonna say, could you give an example?
Well, I think you shared an example about how you said thank you so much for the towels, or for the great dinner, or this was a great pool service, or thanks for cleaning my room, or making the little design
the duck,
with the towel,
the duck with the towel.
The swan,
the swan. That's what it is.
And you said that every single person had responded by asking for a review or a comment. Yeah. And so that's the art. That's their training that comes alive. Chick-fil-A has a bunch of engineered moments, and we use them as an example in great, real life consumer experience. Because one thing about Chick-fil-A is really, really interesting is whenever I'm coaching a team or training a team and they're working on culture, they always, many of them will always have a concern that if they're growing their team, how could they keep their culture, what it is?
Yeah, maintain it. Yeah.
And so the first question I say, well, what's your definition of culture, right? Because we need to understand what their definition of culture is. Their definitions, every person's definition is always different. My definition of culture is what you tolerate, right? So that's my personal definition of culture. It's what you tolerate. If you tolerate people coming in late, that's your culture. If you tolerate people not reaching their goals, that's your culture. If you tolerate people, having water cooler talk, that's your culture. So, but many people are worried that they're the culture they built, which is usually a love culture, okay, a support culture, Taco Tuesday culture, Thirsty Thursday culture.
Yeah.
Okay, that's usually the culture they're referring to. They're worried that if it grows too big, then they will lose that. And I always say, well, does Chick-fil-A have great culture in all of the states? Of course it does. It's because leadership. Right. And their culture is what they tolerate. They don't tolerate, they have great training and they don't tolerate the nonsense. And so Chick-fil-A has these engineered moments. Of course, you said my pleasure. We know every time you say thank you at Chick-fil-A, they're going to say my pleasure. They're also closed on Sundays. And then finally, the one that sometimes gets missed is the one where you can't just go up to the fountain machine and get a refill. They have to do it for you. And that's just another touch point for them for you to say thank you, for them to say my pleasure. It's another moment where they're engineering it so that they can have consumer interaction to make you feel good.
Interesting. I did not know that.
And so it's just all these engineered moments that we have in our businesses that are the art of accepting a compliment is across the board, usually the one that we should really focus on. And not enough businesses do that. And I think that it's not AI, that's for sure.
Right. Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the example of what I'm referring to.
Wow.
With the conversational excellence and your draw to exactly what to say, if you were to leave as we're getting closer to the end of our conversation here, if there was something you could leave to anyone listening or watching this today, like what would you do to help them start just very simply a beginning to conversational excellence?
Well, selfishly, they should go to my website, www.rickyoneil.com, and go down and click on a free business discovery call.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
That they could do. And so anyone who is if any of this triggered something from someone, then one is they should go to rickyoneil.com and just schedule a free exactly what to say a business development call. All right. 2 is they should go to September 3rd to the Bayside Leaders.
Yes, and that's 12 to 2.
And
September 3rd at Bayside Granite
Almost
Bay.
sold out though, right?
Yeah, it's almost sold out. So they
Is it
got
really?
Wow, look at you.
no pressure.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it was
sorry,
you.
sorry,
Ricky.
sorry.
It was you.
No pressure. And so it's almost sold out. So you got to go and look for that link. But also I would say just as like as someone who is too lazy to go to my website or buy tickets to Bayside Leadership, you have to be interested enough to really want to improve.
I
right?
like that. Yeah.
Like I am committed to the committed.
Or even self-aware enough to say
self-aware, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that, you have ego and then you have self-esteem. Like ego will say something like, I already know that.
Yeah. What's he gonna teach me? I'm actually okay.
Right. And self-esteem is more like, I'm not good enough for that. And so what I know is that no one knows everything, and that we always have a little bit more room to grow. And in the workshop, we do a lot of fun exercises around that. And so if I were to leave like one nugget that we're just hanging on, it's like, think of the last conversation you had that didn't go your way. Can you identify what happened? Like think of the last conversation that didn't go your way, that didn't have the desired outcome that you wanted, right? Or maybe didn't have the outcome that the person that you were servicing wanted. Like what happened? Can you identify exactly what happened? Most people can't, but something went south. And so our goal is to kind of make sure that we limit those situations and we really help you understand where there is opportunity, because there is opportunity everywhere in the moments that basically pass through us every single day.
Like at the grocery store.
Like at the grocery store, there's the grocery store. Literally, last week I was driving to Reno to host a workshop for, business leaders up there. And as I'm driving, I was just before Colfax, and my sunroof, my whole entire roof on the top of my car explodes.
I've had this experience.
Okay.
I've had that exact same experience. It's wild.
It sounded like a shotgun line.
Yeah.
And so I was looking, there was no smoke, and then the fabric was starting to flap. I'm like, oh my gosh, so I pull over and I go to a store there, and I don't know if we can mention the stores, but it was a store in Colfax, and there was a lady there, and she was so helpful. And she was probably no older than 18 years old. And I had to buy a bunch of plastic bags and tape to tape off, to vacuum out the car and all the glass.
Get some 80-mile-an-hour duct tape.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't think they make that actually. And so I come back, and it's like 100 and death degrees that day in Colfax. And I'm the one day I decided
100 and death. I've never heard that. I like that.
We've used other words.
I decided to dress in slacks and like a polo shirt that day, right? Now all black, and I'm sweating like crazy. And I go back in because I had to buy more tape or scissors or something. And she sees me and she's like, oh my God. She's like, it's terrible.
Are you okay?
I go, do you have a bathroom? I just need to like kind of wipe off. She goes, here's some paper towels. And she hands me like a fresh roll of paper towels. She goes, you can keep them. I leave. I go, what's your name? She told me her name. I've emailed that store to say, hey, this employee was fantastic. This was my situation and this is what went through. And I got an auto response saying, thank you so much. We're going to review this and thanks for the feedback. And so I think those kind of things are important, right? That was a moment in time where she didn't have to recognize that, but she did. And this is a kid who has zero training.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And I think it's so funny. We overlook the grocery store experience or that experience as, oh, it's just an everyday thing. But if we really are focused, especially in the sales world or especially in a referral business, if we can create moments and manufacture those moments and have conversational excellence within those moments, people are going to remember the way that you made them feel. And then they're going to, if we're doing it right, they're going to know what we do for a living. And when they think, oh, I need a mortgage, I want to sell my house or whatever, I got to talk to Justin, who comes into my grocery store all the time, because he's always so curious about me, or just the way that you make them feel. He genuinely cares about me. Like you said, why would I ever search chat or Google to get a loan? I know who's going to do my loan because of those moments. And I think for me, someone who leads a lot more with feelings, that's what I want to do. That's kind of the impact and the way that I want to run my business, and my referral side of things is positively impacting people enough where they go like, this is our guy.
Well, one thing that we use a lot in business and business is the word referral.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we're going to focus on feelings, I don't think referral always feels
no,
good.
it feels
very transactional.
Well, yeah.
Right. And so how could
feel like a number,
if we were to take these role play cards and pull out, a card that says simple swap, and there's a in the book there's an idea of simple swap. And so instead of asking for a referral, what's another way that we could say that so
Partner?
that it feels more personal.
Yeah, that
right.
feels
My
better.
partner?
Maybe we could say like, Julie, thank you so much for the compliment. I really enjoyed working with you, and I always learn a lot. I'm curious, who else do you know that also is interested in maybe improving their conversational skills that you can introduce me to?
I know a lot of people.
Right. And if you're asking for an introduction rather than a referral, it feels better, and it's more personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It really does. Well, and it says, hey, I care. I care about you, and I care about that next person as much too. With back to leading with the feelings side of things.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic, and I do want to talk. Justin and I have talked about sponsoring you, doing this for our people and our referral partners and
other people that we need to have
partners
be introduced to.
Well, right, people that we need to be introduced to, but our partners and people that are part of our circle, and so we want to do that. Julie, I know that we haven't really asked Julie today. Did you prepare a social media tip of the week? I mean, but as we start getting, you have a hard out, and so
I'll make it fast. Really, this week, if you are thinking about building your audience or trying to build your audience to a larger amount, keep your videos short and make sure at the beginning of the video you have a curiosity statement, something that catches their attention that they might not know about. That is the key. And then lastly, copy the viral videos. Go to your search bar, type in the subject you're trying to emulate in your video, and then copy it verbatim, the hook, the body, everything. And that's how you'll get.
I don't know if you saw Two Mortgage Guys, which is
last week.
Last thing. Jocelyn helped us with establishing a hook. We had not done a hook yet, and so we did
right up front.
Yeah.
Right up front.
And I haven't asked her how it performed.
Oh, I killed it.
Did it?
Millions and millions of people have reached out.
Yes.
And did you catch last week with Michelle when she gave us a tip? What'd you think about that?
Amazing. She knows a lot. Trials are great on Instagram.
Yeah.
Trial reels. Yep.
I thought that was really interesting.
Very good.
And speaking of inviting some of the people to this, we have a lot of sponsors from our programs, events, our give value back to our past clients and that kind of stuff. You know, today's episode is sponsored by someone that's near and dear to my heart, but it's a small batch bath and body product company right here in downtown Sacramento. It's an interesting name, Nudie Bar Soap Co. They make clean products, sustainable packaging, and all of those kind of things, natural products. And while she makes mainly, she's first and foremost a soap maker, great soap. She has two products that are just going out the door. One of them is a sun cream that is made out of tallow, and it's natural, especially with all the stuff you're hearing about sunscreens today, you know, making it worse for you, giving us all cancer. So it's all natural tallow products. And the other is a magnesium cream that I've used it myself on my knees, and it's a game changer. But if you want to reach out to Tammy, you can catch her at nudiebarsoapco.com. She's also on Instagram under the same name. So we really appreciate Nudie Bar being a sponsor here of the 51st episode of the Key Hour. Yeah. And man, we're so glad you're here. And I want to do, I don't own the book, so I'm going to go and get a copy of.
There you go. It's yours.
You do now.
So now I do. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you're here. It's been fantastic.
It's been great.
I mean, this hour went like that.
Thank you for having me on the very first episode of the Key Hour.
Yes.
My man.
There you go.
My man.
And I'm super honored and excited to, do more things and partner together with something that we're going to work on that's pretty big and exciting for the whole Sacramento region.
I think it'll be fun.
Yes.
So
it'll be the first of its kind, by the way.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So
I will see you September 3rd.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Do you have any key points that we're gonna? How about you end the day for us?
I just think you brought so much value to the conversation. My biggest takeaway was your freedom, family, and impact.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
I'm going to duplicate that. So thank you
like
for that.
We're going to
Appreciate
use it. We're going to use it.
I like my biggest takeaway or one of the key moments for me was empowering. Impact versus empowering someone. I love that.
Yeah, that was great.
Impress versus empower.
Yes.
So are we doing something to impress someone, or are we doing something to empower someone? So we should always want to impact and empower them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, guys, thank you for being here. Check us out on all the platforms, and we'll be back next week with another guest. We appreciate you stopping in.